Today I'm going to be making homemade hot chocolate. This is one treat that I love to make for my family, especially when the kids are outside shoveling or playing in the snow. It's a nice treat to come into, and making homemade chocolate is one way that I've eliminated one processed food in our home. If you look at any packaged cocoa mixes, they typically are going to have hydrogenated oils or chemicals, artificial colors, and even artificial flavorings. So homemade hot chocolate is really easy to make. We're not going to use this today. Homemade hot chocolate is really easy to make with just a few simple ingredients. And the first ingredient we're going to use is milk. Now with milks, you can use really any milk of your choice. You can go dairy-free if you want to do a coconut milk. I use rice milk for myself. I'm dairy-free myself. And today for my kids, we're going to be using organic cow's milk. So you need a milk of some sort, you need a sweetener, and you need your cocoa. And we're making peppermint hot cocoa, and we're going to use our food grade Young Living essential oils. And so we're going to start with 2 cups. I'm making 2 cups of hot cocoa. So we'll pour in our 2 cups of milk. Now, the sweetener that we use in our home most of the time is Rapadura sugar. And I'm just going to give you a quick lesson on sweeteners, because not all sugars are created equal. Number 1, you want to avoid any fructose, sucrose, or corn syrup solids, which you're typically going to find in processed cocoa mixes, and really in almost any processed food you're going to have those highly processed sugars. And what happens with those processed sugars is they break down very quickly in your body, and then you're going to get a spike in your blood sugar, and then you get that crash sometime after that. So we're looking for sugars or sweeteners that have a low glycemic index. Now, a glycemic index is it's a term that gauges how a sugar affects your, or how sugars or sweeteners will affect your, or any foods will affect your blood sugar levels. And just some other options are, here we've got white, refined, processed sugar. This is, you know, you've got the fine granules that are white. And I guess you could compare it to whole wheat and white flour. You've got a white sugar that's pretty much like a white flour. You want to avoid this really at all situations, so we're not going to use that. We're going to be using Rapadura sugar, and I use this a lot just in place of the white sugar. It's less refined, and it doesn't cause that spike in your blood sugars. So we use Rapadura in our home. Some other options, you can use organic Florida crystals. This is evaporated cane juice. It's a little less processed than a white sugar, but still a little more processed than a date sugar or a Rapadura sugar. Now, another option for sweeteners is agave nectar. Agave nectar comes from a plant, and it's a natural sweetener, and it's got a consistency like honey or maple syrup, but it's got a very neutral flavor. It's not quite as sweet as some of the other sugars, but definitely a good option for using in your hot cocoa if you'd like. The agave nectar is excellent. It's got a real low glycemic index, even lower than brown rice. So you're not going to get any spike in blood sugar. Another option, which is great for diabetics, we want to avoid artificial sweeteners at all costs. You know, the more that you process sugars or really any foods, your body doesn't know how to identify those, and typically those artificial sweeteners and processed foods end up getting stored in your major organs, in your fatty tissue, and they're just toxins that your body doesn't know what to do with. So stevia is also from a plant. It's a wonderful sweetener for diabetics, because there is no sugar in it. and it's definitely got a sweet flavor. This is a liquid stevia. It comes in liquid and powder. If you're going to sweeten your hot cocoa with stevia, you only need a drop or two. It's very concentrated. So, but for today we're going to use our Rapadura sugar, and then you want to use cocoa. Obviously, cocoa is a little bit more acidic, and there is a little bit of caffeine in it. If you're looking for an alkaline option, doesn't quite have the chocolate flavor, but it's similar. You could use a carob powder in place. We're using 100% organic cocoa, fair trade produced, and you can adjust the sweetness of your hot chocolate to your taste. I'm using 1 teaspoon of cocoa for each cup. So we're doing 2 cups of hot cocoa, and I'm doing 2 teaspoons, 1 teaspoon for each cup, and then I do a tablespoon of the Rapadura for each cup of cocoa. So we've got 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of cocoa to 2 tablespoons of Rapadura. I'm going to whisk this together as I turn the heat on. And whisking is just going to help mix the cocoa into the milk. And it only takes a minute to really heat this up. You don't need to do this in the microwave. Microwaving is another option that it really alters our food, and long term we don't know the effects that microwaving has on our bodies. And I just find that cooking on the stove just is seems just a more natural and an easy way to make things for my family. So I'm heating this up. And again, you can heat this to suit your taste. I have found that using these natural sugars, there's even a coconut sap sugar that my friend Casey from Casey's Cafe introduced me to, and I love that coconut sap. And I find some of these more wholesome sweeteners, they actually add more depth and more flavor to your cooking and your baking. And I just find that my hot cocoa, when we make it with the Rapadura, has just a more depth and more flavor. The white sugars and foods with the white sugars in it just seem to have such a flat flavor, really not much to them. Okay, so we've got this warmed up. I'm going to pour this into our mug, and now we're going to add our peppermint oil. This is an excellent way to add natural peppermint flavor to your hot cocoa. Essential oils are highly concentrated. This is a Young Living essential oil. It's the only essential oils that I will use. You can see on the back, we've got a food supplement label. And you know because of this that you can ingest this safely. But again, they're highly concentrated. And so there are a couple ways that you can put essential oils into your hot cocoa. For an adult, if you want to get more of a therapeutic dosage where you're using 1 full drop, you're simply going to drop one drop into your cup, and then you'll pour the hot cocoa on top of that just to help mix it in. Peppermint is wonderful. There are many benefits. Number 1, it's excellent for your digestive system, very soothing to the digestive tract. Peppermint is energizing, so you probably want to have your hot cocoa with peppermint in the morning rather than right before bed. And peppermint can also open up the sinuses. It's very cooling and can clear up the sinus passages. So we're going to pour this in to our cup. I'm going to make this for one of my kids. So we're doing a child serving of the peppermint, and in order to get a very mild peppermint flavor, I'm going to use a toothpick and just run this along the inside cap, and then we're just going to simply run that through the hot cocoa. And again, if you want to have an adult dosage where you're wanting to get more of a therapeutic benefit, you're going to put a whole drop into that. It's going to give a nice full peppermint flavor. And you've got your hot cocoa to drink with peppermint oil.